Hey everyone, can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. Hey everyone, we're starting very soon. Okay. Yeah. Why isn't this working? Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Oh, because it's in the wrong line.
What do you mean wrong line?
It's the line.
I can hear you. I just didn't when nobody was talking.
Sorry. Hey guys, so sorry. We're just adjusting the spreadsheet. I'm so sorry. Remind me, please. Hey everyone, can everyone hear me now? Can anyone hear me now?
Yes.
no?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're gonna get started with the Gen Assembly. Oops, sorry. Okay, we're gonna get started with the Gen Assembly. So I know you guys are like, wait, why is Jimena chairing? But it's because the Gen Assembly is chaired by Student Body President. So that's why I'm here today. But I call this meeting to order. Hold on, let me pull up the agenda. I call this meeting to order of the General Assembly at 5:07 p.m. All right, so we're gonna start off with roll call. Please keep in mind that some names might be said twice. That's only because some of them are representing two different organizations. So just keep that in mind if that confuses anyone. All right, Speaker Johnson.
Present.
I'm just gonna. Here we are. Okay, sorry. Okay, present. Judiciary Chair Smith. Steering Chair Verzillo. Legislator Childs.
Present.
Legislator Jazwicki.
Present.
Legislator Fosna. Legislator Hendricks. Legislator Johnson. Legislator Lehman Pace.
Present.
Legislator Lunger.
Present.
Legislator Markowitz.
Present.
Okay. There we go. Legislator Mason.
Are you guys talking? If so, can you turn your mics on?
Legislator Mason. Legislator Outing. Legislator Sabaj. Legislator Williams. Legislator Smith. Jay Cooper. Legislator Smith Mackenzie. Legislator Wolf. Hey Nia, can you hear us? Nia, I think I think everyone else can hear. Can you hear me, Nia? Okay, I think Gio's gonna follow up. Okay. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Wycus, no, Wycus.
Present.
Wycus. Legislator, wait, I have you twice as a legislator. I'm so sorry. Okay. FSL liaison Goichai,
Present.
PCO liaison Lunger,
Present.
Student Organic Farm liaison Lunger,
Present.
Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, also known as CETO, liaison Markowitz,
Sorry, present.
Delegate for College Democrats of OU Williams, Delegate for Ceiling Connoisseurs Kirksey, Delegate for WXOU Pizarro, Delegate for Entrepreneurs in Action Matthews,
Here.
Delegate for Sigma Pi Fraternity,
Present.
Goichai,
Present.
and Delegate for Costume and Cosplay Club Ludwig. Right. All right. That was a very long list, but. Mhm. Yes, Legislator Rose?
They're all still out.
We will not be voting during this meeting, as far as I know, so I think we'll be good, but I'll keep that in mind for the future. Thank you for pointing that out. All right, so the next thing we would do is approval of meeting minutes from the prior meeting. However, we do not have any for meeting minutes to approve this meeting, so we'll move on. Next, we have new business. So the first thing I'm going to be presenting is CB 6703. This is a bill that will be voted on by the Student Congress Legislature. However, it is a bill that will amend the General Assembly bylaws. So I will be putting it up just to present and so that any delegate can discuss and ask any questions about it. All right. So basically, this is a bill that was presented by former Vice President Ferguson in the past administration. However, she did not put it up for Q&A and discussion during Gen Assembly. So I don't think she did that on purpose, but it was just a little mistake. So I'm just presenting it again just to make sure that it passes validly. But basically, I'll go through every single point in this bill. First, it says that, okay, so basically in the General Assembly bylaws, I'm hoping that most of you guys have already read it. If not, it's available in the archives. Basically, any delegate who is not a legislator has to have a minimum 5 supporters on their resolutions to be able to present them. However, this provision would be able to let them present it without that supporter requirement. We would be able to waive it just by taking a vote. So, yeah. So I think that kind of just makes it a little bit more accessible. Next, we amend our uses of representatives to liaisons just because of our recent constitutional amendment that changed representatives to liaisons. Also, please keep in mind you can raise your hand online or in person if you have any questions throughout any of this. Next, we changed student assembly to general assembly. It's the same thing, but I guess it just kind of encompasses orgs that are outside of student orgs, such as like the counseling center or CETL or something like that. Next, eliminates sections 3.12 and 3.13. I believe these two are the ones that prohibit judiciary chair and executive members from being voting members. However, we do want to make sure that judiciary chair and executive members can be voting during general assembly. So we're eliminating those two sections. Yeah. And then next, okay, right. So this one says liaisons. So, okay. Amends section 2.52, stating liaisons that hold positions within OUSC shall be non-voting delegates to the General Assembly unless otherwise authorized by the student body president. Liaisons shall be subject to the same authorization process as delegates. The student body president should use their discretion in providing voting authorization for liaisons that do not represent student-run groups and are not directly representing a registered student organization. The student body president should not permit groups of primarily non-students to have voting power. All right, so let me just explain this in simple terms. Basically, what this says is that since there are some liaisons that represent groups that are not student orgs, we do not want them to have voting power in General Assembly just because that dilutes the voting power of students. So things like the Counseling Center or CETL, again, those things are primarily run by faculty. And so we don't want faculty to kind of dilute the voting power of students. So that's what all of this is. Student body president should give voting power to every single student, primarily student-run organization. So that's why we put that in there, to make that distinction. Next, we put another section in that says that a General Assembly is not required to take place at the first gen body of a new student Congress administration. This is just to be able to give the time for the administration to gather delegates. And yeah. And then finally, we removed full-time from section 4.14. All this does is, so basically there was a provision that said that only full-time members can be delegates, voting delegates to the General Assembly. We wanted to make sure that also part-time students are able to be delegates as well, just to increase representation. And so, yeah, that's why we strike that provision or that section from that. All right. Does anyone have any questions or discussions? VP Brummer. Let me see this. Is this mic work? Okay.
I just wanted to clarify in the first section where it talks about being able to vote to bypass the supporter requirement. Just for clarification, when we vote to bypass the supporter requirement to present a resolution to General Assembly, those supporters are still required for that resolution to pass, correct?
I think so. Yeah, so that just for it to have a reading, I think. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Are there any other discussion, in person or online? Any questions? I'll give a few seconds in case anyone needs to think. If not, this is also going to be presented during general body meetings. So if you think of a question later or a concern or anything like that, please feel free to bring it up during GBM. It's also just going to be the first reading for GBM. So you also have a whole nother week or 2 weeks, depending when we want to put it up, to also reach out with any questions. So with that, I do not see any more questions or just, oh, yeah, legislator, no.
I was just gonna say, I think that this bill would have to go up next week during CGBM, otherwise it can't be passed at the next GBM. Because it has to be presented in 2 meetings consecutively.
Yeah, I thought like meetings like that. I thought like those like types of meetings that's gonna be next week doesn't have to the full
So, under the bylaws, or this might be the Constitution, I'm not sure, so special GBMs have to be, the business that is presented has to be under one stated purpose. The stated purpose has to be determined by the steering chair. We can look into whether or not, I guess this is kind of a discussion we can have after about whether or not this bill can go up in the next GBM or until the after one, but we'll see. But thank you for bringing that up because that's a really good point. We have to, either way, we have time to discuss this bill. Legislator Layman Pace. Gosh.
So in section E here, where it says that liaisons that hold positions within OUSC are non-voting delegates to the General Assembly, are they permitted to, say, be the liaison of their group to OUSC and also the representative from their group to this General Assembly? Like, say, I'm in Model UN and they go, hey, you should be our liaison, but also, since you're already doing the OUSC stuff, could you be our representative to the General Assembly? Like, is that a permitted thing?
Yeah, so, okay, so basically how it works is that if you're a liaison for OUSC, you're also the delegate for the Gen Assembly as well. You don't have two separate ones. Does that make sense? And
Yeah, that
also,
makes sense.
also, just to clarify, it says they have non-voting power to begin with, but then the president grants you voting power if they are a primarily student-run organization. So it's just like, basically the default is non-voting, but then the student body president should grant voting power if they are primarily student-run. Does that make sense? Legislator Lehman
Yeah.
Pace, did
Oh,
that
yes, I
answer your
understand.
questions? Okay, cool.
Mhm. Thank you.
All right. All right, I think I'm gonna move on if there's no other questions. There we are. Okay, so we went to, we just did Q&A and discussion. All right, now we have updates related to caucuses. So the thing about this one is that you guys kind of have to like organize into your own caucuses. But I haven't organized those yet. So once we have, by the next Gen Assembly, I think we can all organize into your separate categories. But basically the point of having, am I pronouncing that right, caucus? Okay, the point of having a caucus is to be able to work together more efficiently with your own group, with other people who are very similar to your student org. But yeah, that's the purpose of updates related to caucuses. But does anyone, since we're not organized into caucuses yet, I will open up the floor to any updates related to anyone's student org. All right, so our liaison Goichai, he says that there are current plans for updating the newly given office Greek life has received in the OSI. Oh, I actually haven't heard about that. That's pretty cool. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for that. Is there any other updates that any delegate would like to give on behalf of their organization? I do not hear anything, so I will go on to updates related to OUSC leadership. All right, so I'll give my update, with regards to Student Congress. Basically, I think so far, right now, we're working on hiring e-board. I know a lot of chairpersons are starting to gather up a committee, members for the committee. Let me think, so not for sure. Oh, a few student Congress members went to the Native American Heritage Site and we planted a Three Sisters Garden along with the Native American Student Group and the Advisory Council. So that was really fun. And then other than that, I know that I'll allow the speaker to give an update with regards to the legislature. But that would be it for me as of now. I do have a e-board update later for the GBM, so I will pass it on to VP Brummer. I think.
But besides that, I think so left, but we are interested in having group life table at Instant Beats. So if any of you are in connection with any reflect presidents or people involved, either tell them. But, maybe mention that to them, let them know that that's something that we can hear about and everything. Work to us, so we want to be able to do them. in that.
I think there's not a lot of events happening right now. It's the summer. However, you can always check out Grizzworks for anything that's coming up. All right, I'll hand the floor over to the Speaker of the Legislature to give any updates regarding the legislature.
Howdy do, everybody. The legislature did get a chance to meet on Monday to discuss a few things. Had some very good conversation and some very good debates. So far, from what I've seen, it's so far just getting folks to join committees, getting those structured how the chairpersons are wanting them to be. And some folks are drumming up some legislation that I think we'll be able to get to see in the next few weeks. That's all I personally have, and I hope to hear from some more folks today.
Awesome, thank you, Speaker Johnson, for that update. Now I will hand it off to the SAFB Chair to give any updates related to SAFB.
All right, I have no big updates. We are currently working in rewording the bylaws and seeing how we can make it a bit more, a little bit more easy to understand, both to the board itself and the students that will be reading it. And we are also working on a new do's and don'ts scanner, which will be available in the table from the OUSD office as soon as.
Thank you so much, Chairperson Leotti. All right, are there any announcements? Oh, Advisor Miller?
I just want to let everyone know that we do have a new accounting clerk. Her name is Dana Ferrara, and she has been working here for about 2 weeks. And we are going through everything associated with funding since 80 and Colleen have left, and are trying to take care of all purchases, all reimbursements, all SAFB funding, and getting it all resolved. We have to do this by June 30th. So be rest assured to the student organizations that are here at the assembly that we are taking care of business, and that with fresh eyes and this new person aboard, that we will be updating our policies and procedures, our financial policies and procedures, and we hope to have a more effective and a more efficient process in terms of getting you getting your purchases, getting your reimbursements, getting your petty cash, getting your Sam's card, and all aspects up and running, and we will be in a better position with Dana aboard. So if you happen to be on campus, please stop by and say hello to her. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that update, Advisor Miller. All right, are there any other announcements? All right, I do not see anything else, so I will adjourn the General Assembly at 5:29 p.m. And I will hand it over to VP Brummer to get started with GBM. Let's go.
Alrighty, so to keep stuff rolling, I'm gonna go ahead and call our general body meeting to order at 5:29 p.m. And we will go ahead and move on to roll call. Alrighty. Speaker Johnson,
Present.
Judiciary Chair Smith, Steering Chair Verzillo,
Legislator Lunger,
Present.
Legislator Childs, Legislator Drzwicki,
Present.
Legislator Fosna, Legislator Hendricks, Legislator Johnson, Legislator Lampace,
Present.
and Legislator Lunger is on here again. Okay. Legislator Markowitz. Oh, just kidding. I saw that present in the chat. Legislator Masson. Legislator Outing. Legislator Sabaj. Legislator Williams. Legislator Smith. Legislator Smith. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Whiteheis.
Present.
Alrighty. And with that, we will move on to our land acknowledgement. We recognize the wrongs done to those forcibly removed from their homelands and commit to fostering an environment of inclusion that is responsive to the needs of First Peoples through our words, policies, and actions. Moving on, we will go to the approval of the agenda via voice vote. Are there any yays?
Yay.
Any nays? Alrighty, with that, the agenda is approved. Are there any announcements at this time? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will move on to comments from the gallery. Are there any comments from the gallery at this time? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to new business. First up is the approval of Tyler Whiteheis for the Judiciary Committee. This is presented by Chairperson Smith. Chairperson Smith, you have the floor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, just for some context, because I know a lot of you can see the screen and you can see that there's 3 different legislators going up for the Judiciary Committee today. I've been working hard to get committee members for the past month now, and it is very, very crucial that the Judiciary Committee has members at the moment because there's a lot of backed up work to do. So I will expect more in the future, but for today, we start with these 3 members, and of course, our first is Legislator Whiteheis. I contacted Legislator Whiteheis to and asked about his interest in becoming part of the Judiciary Committee because I have observed all of the legislators I have on this list today and just thought about how they would perform when performing hearings and what they would think about certain constitutional wording and that sort of thing. And though Legislator Whiteheis may seem a bit reserved, he is very opinionated and he asks very good questions. One thing that stands out to me is when the SPB president up as a guest speaker, he asked the SPB president lots of very good questions, which for the life of me, I couldn't have thought of. But yeah, I know for this process, I'm supposed to let the person who's being approved talk about themselves, so I'll do that. Legislator Whiteheis.
Hi there. My name's Tyler. I appreciate the kind words from Judiciary Chair Rose. I didn't really prepare a speech or anything, but I think that the story of my being in student congress for the last year has been me looking for ways to be more involved and failing. So I'm looking forward to having more of a specific and allocated job to be doing so that I am a productive member of Congress, and I appreciate everyone's consideration for approval. Thank you.
Alrighty, so. Legislator Whitegeist, I'm gonna go ahead and move you into a waiting room. Oh, my apologies. Is there any questions for Legislator Whitegeist at this time? Alrighty, seeing none, I will now move you into a waiting room and bring you back in just a minute. All right, is there any discussion on Legislator Whitegeist at this time? Alrighty, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to a vote. Okay. Speaker Johnson,
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith.
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo. Legislator Lunger.
Yay.
Legislator Jozwicki.
Yay.
Legislator Fosna. Legislator Liam Pace.
Yay.
Legislator Markowitz.
Yay.
Legislator Williams.
Yay.
Legislator Smith. Legislator Wolf. Legislator, oh, just kidding. Legislator Whitegeist is not in here. With that, we have approved Legislator Whitegeist as a member of the Judiciary Committee. Let me go ahead and invite him back in. All right, congratulations, Legislator Whitegeist. You have been approved for the Judiciary Committee.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, moving on, we will go ahead to the approval of Allison Dreswicki for the Judiciary Committee. Chairperson Smith, you have the floor.
Hey, folks, I'm back. So again, I will apologize because I know this is a very important meeting with a lot of very important things, but as said, this could not wait any longer. So I will give more context into my decisions as to who I put up here. I feel like it's very important to know all my committee members in a somewhat personal level so I can at least see how they function as a person, because of course, members of the Judiciary Committee are, at the end of the day, judges on the Judiciary Committee. They judge people, they judge everything that's brought before the committee, anything that's even remotely said to the committee. So I need to know if a legislator can more or less function under all of their opinions being public and criticized. And I believe Legislator Jozwicki fits that description fairly well. With that, I'll let Legislator Jozwicki speak for themselves.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for considering me for this position, and I hope to do some good work on the committee if approved. And yeah, I'll keep it short, that's all.
Are there any questions for Legislator Jozwicki at this time? Okay, seeing none, gonna go ahead and put you into a breakout room and bring you back in just a minute. Alrighty, is there any discussion on Legislator Jozwicki at this time? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to a vote. Speaker Johnson?
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith?
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo? Legislator Lunger?
Yay.
Legislator, oh, just kidding. Legislator Fosna?
Yeah.
Legislator Liam Pace?
Present. Yay.
No worries. Legislator Markowitz?
Yay.
Legislator Williams? Legislator Smith? Legislator Wolf? Legislator Whitegeist?
Yay.
Alrighty. Alrighty, with that, Legislator Drzwicki is approved as a member of the Judiciary Committee. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alrighty, moving on, we will go to the approval of Legislator Wolf for the Judiciary Committee. Chairperson Smith, you have the floor.
Alrighty, I'm back again. I promise this probably will be the last time, maybe. So I've already given my context behind all the decisions I've made. Now for Legislator Wolf, this was more so a reading into them as a person, because I have known Legislator Wolf for, I want to say, just under like 75% of a year. And Legislator Wolf is by far one of the most opinionated persons I know, and whatever opinion they have, they always voice with, what's the right word? They always, what? Fervor. That is a good word. They always voice it with passion, fervor, and they're more often than not right, which is the important thing here. And I think it would honestly be a crime if I didn't at least ask them to be on this committee, because I think they are by far the best fit for it. But with that, I'll let Legislator Wolf speak for themselves. I mean, Greg, want me to bring them?
If you want to.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is high. Hi.
Oh, you don't have to talk into that, as long as you're right here. they'll all
Oh,
hear you.
okay. So I hope that I can bring impartiality and wait, what's the word? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I forgot the word I was looking for, but anyways, I was just hoping I can bring impartiality and just like a lot of soul searching to like the Judiciary Committee, and I'm open to a lot of different, views on things, and I would like to help people to resolve things or just to keep things smooth sailing. I didn't know I was gonna have to speak. So, thank you.
All right, are there any questions for Legislator Wolf at this time? Alrighty, hearing and seeing none, Legislator Wolf, I'm gonna ask you to step out for just a moment. Could you just close the door on your way out? Okay.
No, I won't.
Alrighty. Is there any discussion on Legislator Wolf at this time? Chairperson Smith?
All right, two things. One of them, I noticed that Legislator Wolf joined on, I think it's their computer, but still they're in the meeting and could probably put a waiting room on there just in case. And also, I want to add on to the point I made when I was talking to Legislator Wolf that they're very opinionated. I want to just add on and say most of the time when they are opinionated, me and Legislator Wolf do not agree on said opinion. And I think it adds character that even when a majority of people do not think they are right, they still voice their opinion fervently, and they still get it out there in the most elegant way possible. I seriously think it would be a crime if Legislator Wolf was not on the Judiciary Committee.
President Garcia?
I really like that Legislator Wolf, whenever you bring up any type of topic, she always brings up a side that you've never had considered. I just really like the perspective that she always provides to any conversation, no matter what it is.
Any other discussion on Legislator Wolf or Judiciary Committee at this time? Alrighty, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to a vote. Legislator Outing, are you present or present and voting?
Present.
Alrighty, Speaker Johnson,
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith.
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo. Legislator Lunger.
Yay.
Legislator Drizwicki.
Yay.
Legislator Fosna.
Yay.
Legislator Liam Pace.
Yay.
Legislator Markowitz.
Yay.
Legislator Outing.
Yay.
Legislator Williams.
Yay.
Legislator Smith. Legislator Whiteheis.
Yay.
Alrighty, could someone go and bring Ben back? Alrighty, congratulations, Legislator Wolf. With that, you have been approved for Judiciary Committee. Alrighty, moving on, we will go to the approval of, please tell me how to pronounce your name. Kiati. Okay, Kiati Sharma as SAFB Director of Audits. This is presented by Chairperson Liati. You have the floor.
All right, so some of you know that SAFB has been looking for a director of audit since last year. Took us a little bit, but among some of our candidates, Kiati has stood out, and we would just love to have her on the team, and I'll just let her speak a little bit more about herself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak before you today. So let me give a very brief description about myself. So I am Khyati Sharma. I am right now pursuing a Master of Science degree with a major in Business Analytics from Oakland University. I have completed my bachelor's in commerce with a major in accounting and business mathematics. I have done that from India. So I'm very much honored to, to present my expertise into this position of Director of Audits with Student Activities Funding Board, because I think that this position is very crucial to ensure the integrity and effectiveness with our funding operations. And I think that I have the appropriate qualifications and experience for this particular position. I have about 4 years of experience in the fields of auditing, taxation, finance. I have done stat audits, tax audits, and tonal audits to ensure that whether the operations are in line with the protocols, procedures, policies, and to report them, to identify the gaps and how to, improvise the procedures and the processes which are ongoing on the daily basis. So, and I think that this positions even requires a transparent communication, accountability, of course. So I'll make sure to take care of the responsibility and accountability of the things and the task I'll be assigned to do. And I'll even ensure that the communications are open and transparent, of course, because, that's very important it's very important to build the trust of each and everybody who's associated with the community. So lastly, I just want to thank you everybody for listening me, and I'm very excited to contribute within this position for the welfare of the entire university community. So thank you so much, and I'm more than willing to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, so is there any questions for Kiati at this time? Legislator Liam Pace, you have the floor.
I just wanted to say that you seem like an exceptionally qualified candidate, easily like one of the most qualified candidates that we've interviewed for a role. And I did want to ask, because I know Oakland University has weird policies around grad students. I'm blanking on the phrasing that I wanted to do, but like I know in the past we had someone who was a grad student trying to join OUSC, but it turned out that she had issues with it because she was also like, she had a different job through Oakland, and Oakland has like the archaic system where it's like, you actually can't have 2 jobs if you're a grad student here. So I just wanted to I guess, make sure everything was all good there.
Yeah, so let me be very honest and transparent. I am working right now with Project Upward Bound. So I'm just working there for a month, that too in the summer itself. So I'll be teaching them. So I have already given the commitment to them to work with them and to teach the students this particular month. So it's just about like 4 to 6 weeks. And that too, I am working for them for like 17 to 20 hours. So I'm still left with 20 more hours to work in summers. And from the August, I'm available to work for like straight 40 hours a week.
Yeah, and to add to that, I am in communication with Jen to make sure that that's okay.
Yeah.
And Jinan?
I think what Ethan is referring to is if a graduate student has a graduate assistant position.
Oh,
then
yes, that was what I was
That is
thinking.
one where you cannot hold two jobs at the same time on campus or even off campus. That's part of the contract. So it has to do with the graduate assistant position.
Yeah, so I am not having any such position right now as of now.
All right, is there any other questions for Kiati at this time? Alrighty, seeing none, we're gonna have you step out into the hallway and we'll bring you back in just a second. All right, any discussion on Kiati at this time? Okay, we were just doing some general clarifying there in person for those online. Advisor Miller, you have the floor.
I just want to clarify, and Gio, I don't know if you can do this or not. Because she said she'll be teaching in the fall. Does she?
No, he's only doing it in the summer during
Okay.
July.
So she does not have a graduate assistant position in the fall and winter?
No, as far as she has let us know, she does not have.
Okay,
that
good to know.
position yet.
Thank you.
Yep.
So because she's teaching now, is she gonna not join since the fall? No, she is. She's not.
Any first view? I just wanted to say that I have a pleasure of sitting and she did an amazing job answering Co-Chair Matthews' questions. She did a great job. She has a whole lot of experience and she's really well qualified for the position. I'm excited to see what she can do for SAFP. All right, is there, Legislator Wong?
I think he sounds like very interested and engaged, you know, as it seems. I think that's something we need after like better finances. God, like overlooked and stuff happening. Yeah, just to clarify though, technically she would be hired as a director of FAB. So she wouldn't be working on financial matters related to OUSB, just to provide that.
Alrighty, any other discussion at this time? All right, seeing none, we will move on to a vote. All right, Speaker Johnson,
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith,
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo, Legislator Lunger,
Yay.
Legislator Drzwicki,
Yay.
Legislator Fosna.
Yeah.
Legislator Liam Pace,
Yay.
Legislator Markowitz,
Yay.
Legislator Outing,
Yay.
Legislator Williams, Legislator Smith. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Whiteheis.
Yay.
Alrighty, would someone like to bring Kiati back in? All right, with that, Kiati Sharma is approved as the SAFB Director of Audits. Congratulations. Alrighty, moving on, we will go to the approval of Legislator Markowitz as Commuter Support Chair. This is presented by Speaker Johnson. You have the floor.
Howdy do you folks. I know y'all sick of all these approvals, but I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. With the departure of our former community support chair, we maintain that the position is one that should remain filled, and Legislator Markowitz was kind enough to offer his services. I will remind other legislators he has served in this position before, and again, this is a position we should keep filled so that Student Congress does as much work as possible to engage with our commuters. I will toss the floor to Legislator Markowitz to talk about himself so that I don't have to.
Thank you very much, Speaker Johnson. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm sitting in my car.
Yes, we can hear you.
To avoid repetition from the previous little speech that I gave, I'll just sum it up super quick. I did hold the position for a few months at the end of the last administration, and it really gives me the freedom to do the work that I'm doing, but even more of it. And so instead of repeating that speech, I'm going to talk about what I have been working on, and also why you should get involved if you're interested. So I talked about my role with student engagement and getting students engaged in the classroom, which of course is particularly important for commuters, because if we're not engaging them in the class, they're not going to stick around after class and participate in extracurriculars. And then it just kind of craps on the whole cycle. So in order to get people engaged, I started with research kind of into the best engagement strategies. And some of my most recent updates, so I also started branching out into alternative grading. And alternative grading is good for engagement because when you have an environment where students aren't just trying to get an A, instead they're working on more project-focused classes where grades are less emphasized. It has a significant impact on student engagement in the classroom. And so I'm part of a little learning community that handles that, and we're actually focusing on planning an event coming up here. So if that's something that's interesting to you, let me know. It'll probably be similar to my student panel event that I have every year in the fall, which is a more general conversation between faculty and students on student engagement. Additionally, I try to spread my reach out as much as I can with the conversations that I have. And so I was selected for a blog that's through Grand Valley. It's a faculty blog, but they accepted me as a student. I think there was like 70 people that applied and they only selected 20. And it like 4,000 faculty from around the country read this blog. And so it's a great opportunity to kind of get our voice out there, get Oakland University out there, and also like what we're doing here in Student Congress. And so please, if you're interested in getting involved also with the Maximizing College event, that's a student-focused event. It's going to be more like a resource fair this year, but a little bit different, not like GrizFest. More so, there's going to be a speech component of it, and then there's going to be different resources on campus like the Counseling Center and Academic Success Center that can table during that event. So if you're interested in getting involved in any of those, please Slack me. With that, I yield. Thank you.
Alrighty, is there any questions for Legislator Markowitz at this time? Alrighty, hearing and seeing none, Legislator Markowitz, I'm gonna go ahead and move you into a waiting room and bring you back in just a minute. Alrighty, is there any discussion on Legislator Markowitz for Commuter Support Chair?
Not. Legislator Wolf, you have the floor. I have never been so relieved to see someone return to a certain position. And I think that you've been very reliable and friendly and mutual and open to disagreement, and from my experience, he hasn't had any trouble holding his temper and realizing that he's isn't always the need of the entire Congress. And I think we made a big mistake not having him renew the position, and I think this is the way to write it. We need to.
Legislator Smith?
Also very excited. And I think a lot of people don't realize like how much he does. I meet with him personally once in a while, and there's just like so many things he does behind. So I'm really, really excited to see him back on the agenda.
Is there any Chairperson Smith?
I just want to echo what Legislator Smith said. Legislator Markowitz is by far one of, if not the hardest working person in this Congress, in the last Congress. And he really sets a standard for all of us to follow. Even if a lot of us don't see it, he does an excess amount of work that I don't think my brain could handle. I'm gonna be honest. He seriously is just insane when it comes to the amount of reliable work he produces, and he betters the lives of students in ways I think 5 of us combined probably couldn't do. So yeah.
Legislator Williams?
Although I don't personally know him, I do really appreciate his commitment towards student engagement, because that's something that I also want to focus on. So I just wanted to give my support from him.
Any other discussion at this time?
Alrighty. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to a vote. Alrighty, Speaker Johnson.
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith.
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo. Legislator Lunger.
Yay.
Legislator Joswicki. I see a yay in the chat. Legislator Fosna.
Yay.
Legislator Liam Pace.
Yay.
Legislator Outing.
Yay.
Legislator Williams. Legislator Smith. Legislator Wolf.
Yay.
Legislator Whiteheis.
Yay.
Alrighty, let me go ahead and bring Legislator Markowitz back in. Alrighty, with that, Legislator Markowitz has been approved as the new Commuter Support Chair. Congratulations. Alrighty, moving on. We will go to the approval of Jay Cooper Smith as parliamentarian. This is presented by Speaker Johnson. Speaker Johnson, you have the floor.
Alrighty, last one from me. As a former parliamentarian myself, I will admit that the position is one that is very vital that we keep filled. I've been trying for a while to find someone willing to do it, and I'm very glad that Legislator Smith offered to go up to try to fulfill this position. I won't take up too much of his time. I'll let him speak for himself, and I bid you luck. The floor is yours, Legislator Smith.
Some practice.
One.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not open with it. Can you all hear me? Should I hold this? Can everyone hear me? Yes, yes, okay. Hi, everyone. You all know who I am, Jay Cooper Smith. I'm back. So I noticed the position of parliamentarian has been empty for a while. I believe this is an often overlooked position in OUSC. After reading what this role entails, I decided that I would like to accept this as a challenge. I am interested and excited to expand my work here at OUSC, and I'm ready to take it to the next level. As it stands, many people might not know much about Robert's rules. I personally didn't myself either and still don't know that much about it. So I want to educate myself on it, and the goal is to be able to educate others on it as well. I did talk a little bit with the past parliamentarian, Speaker Johnson, and he kind of gave me a little bit more information on the position. And yeah, that's it.
All right, are there any questions for Legislator Smith at this time?
I just kind of wanted to know what exactly the parliamentarian does.
So parliamentarian is kind of an expert on, oh, we have the description. Shall have the responsibility of maintaining parliamentary procedure along with the most recent version of Robert's Rules of Order during meetings and enforcing them as necessary. So if we ever don't know how to move forward with a meeting or what procedure we're supposed to follow, it falls on parliamentarian to kind of figure that out. If that makes sense. Okay.
Legislator Williams, you have the floor?
Okay, so basically we have a few copies of Robert's Rules. I have to find them. I know we have virtual copies, but I want to find the physical book. And I would read through that, take notes, and make sure that I'm really an expert on that.
Sure.
Say that the physical book is the vice president.
All right, any other questions for Legislator Smith at this time? All right, we see none. We'll have you step out and we'll bring you back in just a minute. All righty. Is there any discussion on Legislator Smith at this time?
Chairperson Smith, you have the floor.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna speak in Legislator Smith's defense of not knowing much about Robert's Rules before the position that is supposed to know all about Robert's Rules. I will speak from my personal experience when going up for Judiciary Chair that I knew very little amounts about the bylaws and the Constitution of OUSC before I went up for Judiciary Chair. And I'm sure several people in this room can attest that now after being in the position and educating myself, I know an extreme amount, too much, and I look at it too much. I have a copy right in front of me right now of both. And I'm sure Legislator Smith would do the same with Robert's Rules. I have every sense of faith in him in regards to that. So when it comes to educating himself, I think that's not working.
Any other discussion at this time? All righty, hearing and seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to a vote. All right, Speaker Johnson.
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith.
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo. Legislator Lunger.
Yay.
Legislator Drozwicki, I see a yay in the chat. Legislator Fosna.
Yay.
Legislator Liam Pace.
Yay.
Legislator Markowitz. Chairperson Markowitz. All right, Legislator Outing.
Yay.
Legislator Williams. Legislator Smith. Legislator Wolf.
Yay.
Legislator Whiteheist.
Yay.
Alrighty, can somebody go ahead and bring Chick Cooper back in? All right, with that, Legislator Smith has been approved as the new parliamentarian. Congratulations. All righty, moving on, we will go to the approval of Ethan Lamb Pace as Director of Executive Platform. This is presented by President Garcia. You have the floor.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry, I was gonna actually motion before I do this to add meeting minutes from May 29th to the agenda. Is there a second for that motion?
Seconded by Chairperson Smith.
Cool, because Legislator Lunger worked very hard on those, so I would like to add them. I would say, let me see. Would I add it to new business? Or just over here? I'll add it here, okay. Approval of meeting minutes from 5/29. I will add them to the chat. Just to give a really quick second to look over those. I'll also scroll through them here for those in person. All right. We're almost there. Would anyone like any more extra time to look at them in person or online?
All right, seeing that nobody else has requested time, we're gonna go ahead and move to a voice vote. For 5/29 meeting minutes, can I hear the yays?
Yay.
Yay. Any
Yay.
nay? Alrighty, with that, the meeting minutes for 5/29 are approved. And President Garcia, you have the floor.
All right, sorry for that quick little, anyway. All right, so I'm introducing, Ethan Lehman Pace, for Director of Executive Platform. All right, so Ethan, I'm pretty sure he is the longest standing member of Student Congress, well, current member. He's been here the longest out of everyone currently here. He knows so much about how Student Congress runs. He has so many connections all over campus, and he is so well educated about so many different initiatives, including voting, including, he's done a lot of voting engagement. He's connected a lot with the GSC, and so many more things. And I could not trust one person more than Legislator Layman Pace to fulfill this role. And I'll hand it over to Ethan.
Hey, I'm really flattered by the wonderful introduction that I received. I guess where to begin? I was hoping to go for this role because when I got my start in OUSC 3 years ago, I worked really closely with then Director of the Executive Platform, Jeremy Johnson. He was basically like my mentor in OUSC, and I've always had a passion for voting and voter engagement stuff, and he helped me curate that to try and get more involved in Student Congress. But he also showed me what a director of the Executive Platform does in regards to like trying to get speeches written in a timely manner or put out statements as quickly as possible, or just kind of be there for whenever somebody's needed assistance. And last year, when I was the Director of Community Engagement, I kind of filled some of those roles. Our previous president, President Faruqi, called upon me, and President Garcia as well, I'm sure can attest. She also got roped into whenever something was needed that didn't necessarily fall into somebody's purview. It was either her or me that was called to help work on it. And so I've got plenty of experience rising to the call, so to speak, whenever just dropping what I'm doing and trying to focus on something really quick. Even my course marking initiative stuff, that wasn't something that I initially had thought of, but Miriam brought it to me and was like, hey, have you looked into this? This is really neat. And then I looked into it and I was like, wow, this is really neat. And now it's something that I've brought to a student government conference. I really am excited to go forward and work alongside this current administration. And I really hope that you all approve me so that I can continue making OUSC better. And really important to me personally, but a bit more of a smaller aspect of the role, is keep Oakland voter participation ranking high. Being a commuter school, that is an incredibly difficult thing to do, but with institutional support and my own work and the work of my predecessors, we've managed to do it. And with a pretty darn important election coming up, I think that it's crucial that we hit the ground running with our voter engagement work. And I plan to do that. Thank you.
Alrighty, are there any questions for Legislator Liam Pace at this time? Alrighty, seeing none, Legislator Liam Pace, I'm gonna go ahead and move you into a waiting room and bring you back in just a minute.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Is there any discussion on Legislator Liam Pace at this time? Congressman Smith.
I just want to speak out in support of Legislator Pace because they are so knowledgeable on just so many, on everything. I'm not going to say so many things on everything. You can say something about anything and Legislator Pace will know something about it, especially if it's OUSC related. Anytime you ask anything OUSC related to Legislator Pace, it always turns into a back in my day story from at least 3 years ago. And the insight and the experience that Legislator Liam Pace has is invaluable in this Congress, and I think they would thrive in the executive platforms.
Great. Any other discussion at this time?
All right, hearing and seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to a vote. Alrighty, Speaker Johnson.
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith.
Yay.
Steering Chair Verzillo. Legislator Lunger.
Yay.
Legislator Jozwicki. I see a yay in the chat. Legislator Fosna. Legislator Markowitz. Legislator Markowitz. Legislator Outing.
Yay.
Legislator Williams.
Yeah.
Legislator Smith. Legislator Wolf. Legislator Whiteheis. See a yay in the chat. Alrighty. Alrighty, with that, Legislator Liam Pace has been approved as the director of the executive platform.
Thank you, everyone.
Alrighty, moving on. We will go ahead to CB 6702. This is presented by President Garcia. President Garcia, you have the floor.
Right, so I already ran through this one time during the legislature meeting, but I will go through it another time. Basically, So it all started when we were drafting our budget for the summer semester. We were provided with one account balance that ended up being inaccurate, and we had no idea. We did not know that there were still several transactions to be processed from the past administration. Several, and I think the thing that exacerbated the situation was the size of these transactions. So it ended up adjusting our account balance a lot. And so because of that, the amount that we compensated for compensation ended up being more than 60% of our account balance. And because of that, we do now, and so there's a compensation policy in the bylaws that depending on how much of our how much that we compensated for how much we allocated for compensation, the percentage. I'm gonna start that over again. There's a compensation policy in the bylaws, and depending on the percentage of our account balance is allocated towards compensation, we have to put in certain restrictions on how members are compensated. And to avoid that, we want to make sure that compensation is only 40% of our balance. We're gonna have to now lower hours and therefore lower the amount that we've compensated for compensation, that we've allocated for compensation. So many words, so hard to say them all. So basically, we adjusted the main budget to better reflect our starting account balance. And then we went through every single position and we lowered their hours, starting from president all the way down to all legislators. You guys can look through the bill, see specifically the hours for each person, but you can also see it here on the screen. This now would be able to fit under the 40% of our total account balance and therefore allow us to be compensated normally now. But again, I would just like to emphasize that this whole situation was completely out of our hands, especially because I guess just because of the slow accounting processes and the way that the OSI functions, and I guess we also can give them grace as well, but just because they didn't have an accounting clerk for a while, it just kind of put us in this position where we had inaccurate numbers to work with. And but it does give us an opportunity to change the way we move forward and to be more extra diligent in tracking our account balance and making sure that we are very aware of where we stand financially. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I'll open it up to questions.
Legislator Lunger, you have the floor.
Now, will we get paid for our past hours, like the hours that we started at the beginning of the summer?
So, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so right now where we're at is that compensation is over 60% of our total account balance, and therefore only chairpersons can be compensated for meetings. No other legislator member can be compensated for anything else. Okay, so basically the only compensation that is occurring right now, the legislature are chairpersons, and that's only for meetings. Does that make sense? But we will go back to normal once we pass this bill and make it so compensation is only 40%.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, Chairperson Liani.
Chairperson Liani, I think another maybe understand if that already been
Oh, is that
what you meant, Emily? Like whether or not the work that you've done previously, you get compensated for?
Yes.
So, I think this started, this Monday. Correct me if I'm wrong. The compensation policy went into effect on Monday
So
until today.
anything before Monday, anyone would have been eligible to get compensated for. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Advisor Miller, you have the floor.
In terms of the compensation right now, do they not get compensated until this bill is passed? Because
That is correct, yes.
so you have been paid what you're supposed to be paid, and it will not change until you pass the bill, which I believe is at the emergency meeting next Wednesday. So they continue to be paid at the hours that is in the original budget for the summer. I want to clarify that, correct?
No, so because of the compensation policy, there
Or is
has
it
been
effective
restrictions made.
immediately?
Yeah, so it was effective, I think, starting last Monday, of this week. And then it will, go back to normal once we pass this bill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chairperson Smith?
I did want to say two things. One thing just to clarify the compensation policy, because I have it right in front of me. There's, let's see, 3 different rules based on what percent of the compensation is at for OUSC. If it's 40% or less, legislative chairs are paid for pretty much everything. Maximum legislative work is 5 hours, 10 for chairs, and the executive has full capacity. If it's anywhere between 40 and 60, the legislature can only be compensated for meetings, and chairs can only have a maximum of 2 hours allocated toward meetings in their time sheet. And any compensation over 60, any amount of compensation over 61%, which is where we are at now in a lovely way, the legislature cannot be paid for anything, and chairs can only be compensated for meetings. And I would also like to say that I know a lot of people, when they found out about this, were really upset. And a lot of people were kind of playing the blame game on who can blame the last administration, or maybe the administration before, or like just kind of venting their frustration in that sort of way. And I find that useless, because this is all circumstantial. This is nobody's fault. This is just the byproduct of a bunch of different things happening all in the wrong way, because of a bunch of things that was out of everyone's hands. And it's kind of just up to us to deal with it. We have to just buckle up and deal with it until it's over.
Legislator Wolf? I'd like to remind everyone that this isn't the end all be all of the budget. If every one of us, if we would like to, we could review the budget, get together and see how to reallocate things in order to increase our compensation. We can,
No, once if 40% of the balance is 40% of the balance, you can't move stuff from the 60% to the, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's exactly at 40%. Yeah.
also, I would just like to point out, for anyone confused about how we got from the original starting balance to the one we currently have, I have a summarized list of the transactions that took place that make it a little bit simpler to understand why we are at the number that we are at. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Both President Garcia and I would be more than happy to talk about it and explain it if there is any concerns.
I would also like to say, just so everyone knows, accessible to everyone in the legislature drive. Please let me know if you don't have access to that. In the legislature drive, there is a spreadsheet called the Congressional Library, I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry, but it's there. There's a tab on it that lists our purchases, tracks all of our purchases. And I will also be adding compensation to that as well, so just so everyone can have an idea of how much we spend on compensation. And that's where we'll be tracking our account balance for the admin. So please check that out. I will make sure to keep that as updated as possible. And once the IA is hired, I will make sure that they are also very diligent in making sure that that's updated. Again, if you would like to see the ledger at any time of purchases that Student Congress has made, spending from this admin to the past one, we also, again, as VP Bromer said, we have that available to anyone. I think also you guys were sent a PDF of them as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, I would just like to echo Chairperson Smith's sentiments about how this isn't really a blame game. I think, yeah, there were just so many things that happened all at once that kind of threw us off for sure. But definitely it's a learning opportunity to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But yeah, is there any more questions?
Alrighty, seeing none at this time, we will go ahead and move on. Next is CB 6703. This is also presented by President Garcia. President Garcia, you have the floor.
Oh, I think Director Lemon just had something.
I did. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You have the floor.
I had my Zoom minimized because I was reviewing for an exam that I've got later. I'll be completely honest with you. But I'd wanted to say that I know that I guess this was more of a comment than a question. But just so people know, like, even though technically 40% of the budget is allocated for compensation, that doesn't mean that 40% of it will actually be spent on compensation. Like, we don't have the full number of legislators currently, but we still have to budget as if all of those legislators were using all 5 hours every single week. So our actual spending will be nowhere near spending 40% of our budget on compensation. We just have to budget as if every role will be completely filled and will use all of their hours every single week of the entire semester, I guess, just to make it clear to people.
That is a really, really, really great point. Thank you for reminding me about that. I was gonna mention it, so thank you. And another point I wanted to make is that the SAF allocations that we get are always really, really small also during the summer. But they are substantially larger during the fall and winter. So I don't see this as being a problem in the fall and winter. I think Legislator Whitekais, I think I saw your hand first.
Hi there. I have two really, really quick questions. First question, did maximum hours change as a result of the budget adjustment?
Yes.
Okay. Just want a clarification on that. And then second question, should we still be filling out timesheets normally, or are we waiting until the budget is approved to fill out timesheets? Or is there anything we need to do about that?
Yeah, so as of now, if you saw my email I sent, I don't remember when, but it was recent, about this whole thing. So basically, again, only chairpersons will be compensated for meetings and no other compensation will be happening due to the bylaws and the restrictions that they place when things like this happen.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then
oh,
Advisor Miller, you have the
Advisor
floor.
Miller.
Yes, one of the things that we talked about in our meeting, between you and, the vice president and myself, was about attending meetings in the immediate future. That I just want to clarify this based on our conversation, that individual legislators would not be penalized in any kind of way if they did not attend a meeting that they were not being compensated for. Is that correct? And does everyone understand that?
Yeah, so I put that in the email as well, but just to reiterate in case, and that's a really, really great reminder. Any legislator, if you are not a chairperson, you will not be compensated for attending meetings. And for that reason, you will not face any repercussions for not attending meetings. Thank you, Advisor Miller, for reminding us about that. And you raised your hand again?
Yes, I just want to let everyone know that going back and looking at when the compensation will be given to you from SAF. It looked like last year, the summer one money was transferred at the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. So that's my anticipation that you will see your SAF money for summer one be transferred into your account. And it's probably because we are at the end of the fiscal year. Oakland University operates July 1st through June 3rd, or 30th. And at this point in time, we are closing out the books on everything. And so this has to do with also closing out the books for this particular semester. But to be reassured that SAF money will be coming in, and then your SAF money for summer 2 and fall will not be usually transferred until October, just FYI.
Thank you for that information, Advisor Miller.
I was also just going to add a small point to that. Obviously, as Advisor Miller said, we do not expect people without compensation. Although it is important that when we vote on the bill for compensation next week, we need to have enough legislators at the meeting to meet quorum, or else we cannot vote. And it will put, it'll make all legislators not be able to get compensated for an additional week. Just so everybody is aware. But yes, Legislator Wolf?
I don't know if people on Zoom will hear this, but to sort of make it more clear what is happening, starting on June 10th, until we pass this new budget, it's kind of like we just all went on vacation. Like we will not be paid for these weeks retroactively or right now. Like these weeks are just going to a black hole and we need to fix it. But everything before June 10th, we will be compensated.
Is June 10th when I sent the
Yeah.
email out? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, Monday? Okay, cool.
Alrighty, so
Now I think I'm gonna go into the actual
yes.
second mail. Okay, awesome. If there are any more other questions about the previous bill, feel free to bring them up later, but now I'm gonna be moving on to the next bill. This is just the bill to amend the General Assembly bylaws. So we just had a General Assembly, as you can recall. And I went through this, but I will go through it quickly once more. Try not to spend too much time on it. All right, so currently there is a supporter requirement to present just to present a resolution to the General Assembly. You need 5 supporters, 5 voting supporters. And this would just be able to waive it, to just read it, not to vote on it, but to read it through a 2/3 vote of the General Assembly. Next, it would amend all uses of representatives to liaison. This is to reflect the changes in the Constitution that were approved by the Board of Trustees. Next, we would amend all uses of student assembly and SA to General Assembly and GA. This is just to reflect that maybe some orgs are not student orgs. Next, this would eliminate sections 312 and 313. These are sections that do not allow Judiciary Chair and executive members to vote during the General Assembly. We do want them to have voting power during General Assembly, so this is what that would do. Make sure that they do have voting power. Next, this provision that would be added would basically, so right now we have liaisons to Student Congress, and they automatically have a delegate seat in the General Assembly. However, some of those liaisons are by organizations that are not primarily student-led. They're primarily faculty-led. So things like CETLS, things like the Counseling Center. We want to make sure that student votes are not diluted by faculty votes. So basically it would make all liaisons default non-voting. And then the student body president is expected to grant voting power to primarily student-run orgs. All right. Next, the next letter F would be to basically, General Assemblies are required to take place in lieu of the first GBM of the month. However, that is very hard to do with the new administration because they have not been given the opportunity to collect delegates. So this would just make it so that the first meeting of a administration does not have to be General Assembly. And then finally, we just remove full-time, because, okay, so basically there was a requirement that all General Assembly delegates had to be full-time students. However, we don't want to close it to only full-time students. We want to open it also to people who might not be full-time. Again, just increasing representation through that. I kind of went through that rather quickly, just because I already went through it today, but does anyone have any questions?
Legislator Wolf? Not a question, but who would be up for a motion to have a recess till 6:47 for like a 5-minute break? Like after this?
Are you motioning?
Yeah, I'm motioning.
May I ask why?
Oh, I thought we all might need like a break to use the bathroom or get some water.
Advisor Miller?
I just want to ask if a legislator from OUSC also is a president or ends up being the representative at the assembly and they're voting, is that a conflict of interest and or a double vote, or they are two separate voting opportunities?
I would like to say, the president does not have voting power. I don't think, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I don't think, VP Bromer has voting power either. When I say executive, members would have voting power, I just mean like, the board members, not me and not VP Bromer. Cause, does that answer your question?
I guess if the person is on OUSC, but
I'm
they,
sorry.
but they are representing themselves through their student organization. I just want to know if that's a conflict of interest for them to vote at the assembly as well as OUSC, like general body meetings. Is it two separate issues or is there a conflict?
Chairperson Smith.
Oh, so, I know from experience being president of the student org as well as being a member of OUSC that if I were to represent my student org in the General Assembly, I would only have one vote.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also highly encouraged that presidents who are also a member of OUSC do not represent their organizations at General Assembly. They can, but it's highly advised. I know for my student organization that I am not representing it at General Assembly. One of my other executive board members is, just to avoid that sort of conflict. But if a conflict like that were to arise, they only get one vote.
Did you hear, Advisor Miller, did you hear, Chairperson Smith?
I did, but I guess I would recommend that maybe you want to, as opposed to it kind of gives the discretion, maybe that you want to codify that into your proposal.
Okay. Yeah, this is the first reading, so we can definitely,
At least think it over, that's all.
yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Legislator Liam Pace, did you still have a question or concern?
Oh, no, my question was answered. Thank you, though.
Okay, all right. Is there any other,
Chairperson Smith?
Yeah, I do want to speak out in support of codifying it into this bill to make it student or president. If somebody is an OUSC member but is also wanting to use a student org in General Assembly, they cannot do that. It has to. I think it would just, because we could function fine if somebody was an OUSC member and also representing their student org. We could function just fine, but it's kind of just stupid. I'm gonna put it that way, it's stupid for that to happen. We could easily avoid it and buying it, just takes it out of the frame.
Legislator Wolf?
Additionally, in the spirit of democratic governance, people should be expected to act with integrity and, you know, for if they feel that there's a conflict of interest, to abstain from votes. And so I think codifying certain things will be good, but to some extent, we should have good faith in our fellow legislators.
All right, any other discussion or questions at this time?
Legislator Director Lehman Pace, you have the floor.
I can see the merits to both sides because on one hand, I do think that on paper, it definitely feels unfair to give somebody a voice in two ways, but I also could see this potentially making it difficult for other student orgs. Like last year, one of my friends was in student org, and basically most of the e-board was so busy they'd plan the meetings, go to classes, and could do nothing else. But it was kind of an important org to have represented at something like this. And my friend was involved in student congress. And so because they were the only person who really had the time to devote to potentially being in the General Assembly or something like that, I don't want to put undue pressure on somebody to be like, hey, sorry, to make sure that we have our voice, we need to pick somebody else. And then I think it is important for a legislator to speak on their own personal experience and what they think is best for their constituents and what they think is best for their own beliefs and principles. But also, again, the idea of one person having two votes does feel unfair. But I guess I'm reconciling that by seeing it less as one person having two votes, but more one person having one vote and then the organization that person belongs to having a vote. Because I guess my expectation is that if someone's a representative to the General Assembly, they're still deferring to the other members of the e-board. They're still trying to keep a pulse on what their club thinks is best. And what their club thinks is best will probably align with what they personally think is best. But I feel like we'll definitely see some legislators who might vote one way representing their group and one way representing themselves. But it's a dicey situation, I guess.
I think we'll probably talk about amending this during the presidential task force tomorrow. So if you're interested and have opinions about this, please attend.
Chairperson Smith?
This is gonna be quick because it's slightly unrelated, but did we remove Director Lehman Pace from the voting list?
I did.
You did, okay, just making sure. I didn't want to get to the next thing and then be like, oh, we have to do this now.
Any other questions or discussion at this time? Alrighty, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to old business. Under old business, we have CB 6701. This is presented by Director Liam Pace. You have the floor.
But first, I do want to make sure that we change the sponsor. I know that Speaker Johnson had said that he would be willing to sponsor the measure, but I'd be amendable to anybody who's open to it. It'll be a friendly amendment.
I'm still open to amending the bill to sponsoring it.
Awesome. If you could toss me in as a co-sponsor, that would be cool. But
Right, I am doing that right now. If you want to go
Thank
ahead
you.
and start presenting, feel free.
Sure, I'll be quick. I've mentioned this bill a couple times. We were trying to iron out where in the Constitution it would go, but basically this just lays out a process to maintain our commitment to the free stamp program by placing it within our bylaws that a certain amount of money be allocated every semester to the program. But after some feedback, the resolution has changed, or the bill has changed a little bit. I've included language in there, especially mindful of our current budget situation, which is what especially made me want to note this. I've included a provision in there. Okay, as it stands, I've written in there that OUSC will be required to allocate the equivalent cost of 200 forever stamps during the summer semester and 500 stamps during the winter and fall semesters. But I've included a caveat in there. Especially because the price of stamps are assessed bi-yearly, OUSC decides, hey, you know what? We'll buy all of our stamps right now, middle of June. We'll buy like 1,000 stamps, and that should get us through most of the year. That would waive the minimum threshold of the equivalent of 500 stamps, because they have in effect purchased stamps for that semester, and then a second minimum would kick in. So I guess look at it as a two-tier system. No matter what, there will always be a budget for 100 stamps. But unless certain conditions are met, that budget will actually be equivalent to 500 stamps. So say tomorrow we decide, let's buy 1,200 stamps. That'll be our whole year's stamp budget. We want to get it in, we want to run the clock before the price of stamps goes up from 68 cents to 74 cents. Then we wouldn't be required to budget that 500 stamp amount in the fall or the winter. Does that make sense? Is everybody following? It's just kind of a buy now, save later thing. But either way, it ensures that our stamp program will remain in effect and benefiting students for as long as we and the OSI wishes to continue it. Also, upon looking for a spot to put this into the Constitution, I noticed that a previous bill, I noticed two things. One, a previous bill that did a similar thing allocated a budget to one spot, and then in the bylaws as it stands, there's a section on the writing of the budget and then a section on our policies, which includes a subheading of a subheading that includes allocating funds. So there's a couple spots in there. I do think that would benefit from, with our bylaws review, streamlining a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if the placement that I put on here gets changed, but just know I tried to pick what I deemed the most appropriate spot to put this into. And then also at the bottom, I just reaffirm our commitment to the stamps. And then also say that it's the president's responsibility to figure out who handles this. Thank you.
All right, any questions at this time? Chairperson Smith?
So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going into the Constitution, no?
Bylaws. I misspoke there. I use them interchangeably when they shouldn't be. This will be going into the bylaws.
Okay, 'cause
Alongside like the food
there's
pantry.
several times in writing where it says Constitution, that should be changed ASAP.
Yeah, I would be amendable to that being changed. This should be presumably shared with other people. Or shared, not scared.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, that's absolutely a friendly amendment.
Concerns at this time?
Those things just need to be changed before.
Yeah. Director Lehman Pace, would you be able to make those changes right now so that we can go ahead and vote on that?
Oh yeah, I can do that. Let me drive. Sorry. There you are. Control F. Const. All right, looks like there was just one use of the word Constitution, thankfully.
All right. Okay, we will go ahead and move on to a vote at this time. All righty, Speaker Johnson,
Yay.
Judiciary Chair Smith,
Yay.
Steering Chair Brazillo, Legislator Lunger,
Yay.
Legislator Jazwicki, Legislator Jazwicki. All right, Legislator Fosna.
Yeah.
Legislator Markowitz, Chairperson Markowitz. Legislator Outing.
Yay.
Legislator Williams. Legislator Smith.
Yeah.
Legislator Wolf. Not in the room. Legislator Whiteheis.
Yay.
Okay, with that, CB 6701 has officially been passed. Alrighty. Moving on, is there any discussion at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to legislative updates. Again, thank you to everyone who has filled out their legislative updates. Is there anything anybody would like to? Oh, yes. Speaker Johnson, would you like to go ahead and go through your updates?
Yeah, I didn't do too much. I just worked on some legislation. I helped some other folks out with theirs. I have decided to get cracking on formatting how I want the Research and Review Committee to look, which is a committee that legislators can apply to be on, because you need to be on a committee. I'm not going to stop nagging you about that till you do it. And then cutting some stuff down for some folks. I won't speak to everybody else's things. I'll let them have that opportunity if they want to. But that was my week.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. Liaison reports. Legislator Lunger, would you like to? Just kidding. Okay, 1 second. Give me 1 second. Chairperson.
Work is to rather apologies and such.
No worries.
Yes, a lot of those are correct. They all happen, I guarantee you. So I was writing a bill to add a grandfather clause in bylaws because I didn't like the fact that resolutions had to be renewed every single term. And after several conversations with several different people, I learned two things. One, that idea is much better if we just write the bill for said thing and put it in the bylaws directly. And two, our bylaws are so dirty, they're awful. They need to be sorted through, they need to be fixed in a million different ways. And that is going to be the very first judiciary initiative for this term. We are going to go through the entire bylaws, all like 49 pages of it, I think it is. And we are going to be making one bill per article, just fixing language, making things more modernized, getting rid of things that just don't need to be there. Everyone has access to these legislative updates, so if you'd like to independently go and see the first bill I drafted, it isn't up at this meeting because one, we've had more important things to do, and two, I'm honestly not entirely sure it's complete yet. So, you may go and look at this bill. You all have access to it in some way, shape, or form. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But yeah, now with the Judiciary Committee having members, we're gonna hit the ground running. Thank you.
Alrighty. Following that, we will go ahead and move on to liaison reports. Legislator Lunger, would you like to give your report now?
Yes, I would like to give my report for PCO and the Student Organic Farm. PCO is a gardening event at the Student Organic Farm on Friday, June 14th at 4 p.m. We will be weeding and cleaning up the farm. If anyone's interested in attending, reach out to the PCO e-board. And for the Student Organic Farm, they built an OUSC sponsored hoop house on Monday, June 10th. If anyone's interested in seeing it.
Alrighty, thank you, Legislator Lunger. Moving on. Are there any updates at this time related to legislative projects and initiatives? All right, seeing none. Are there any questions related to legislative reports at this time? Seeing none, we will go ahead and move on to executive reports.
President Garcia, you have the floor. Right, so I've been continuing to do a lot more. And we are ready to have our fund to for the summer, to be going up for approval next GDM, not the special GDM, but the one after that. So that will be very exciting. I've also been I was drafting the two bills that were presented today. I'm also taking on a lot of DIA tasks recently, like preparing meeting materials and working with archives because they are a mess. We also met with Director King regarding dining and menstrual product initiatives. Director King did say if we buy the dispensers for housing, that housing would fill them. However, we do want to get that in writing, you know, get too excited about anything. I did see that a lot of legislators were talking on the Slack about a recent program that housing is doing to get OCC students in housing at OU. I do see there was a lot of really, really great questions and points that were presented in Slack. So I just sent out an email to him like a couple hours ago asking if he would like to come and be a guest speaker at a GBM. So I think that would be really great. Next, I've been working on planning Eats and Beats, just getting the budgeting side of that. A lot of outreach for Gen Assembly. I've been begging and begging people to join Gen Assembly. If you know of someone of student orgs that you think would benefit from having a voice at the General Assembly, please let them know. There is a Google form that they would have to fill out. It's available on our Instagram. We've also been posting about the AAUP negotiations that are happening with faculty. I'm always meeting with Advisor Miller. I always need her help. I also attended a Hispanic Heritage Month committee meeting, and I've been organizing and grounding inventory a whole lot. Thank you so much to VP Brummer, Legislator Wolf, Legislator Brazillo for all helping with that. It's been a lot.
Okay, now on to my updates. I will keep it brief because I know it's getting late. So obviously I worked with President Garcia on the compensation bill that you just looked at, figuring all of that out. We both attended the Three Sisters garden planting at the Native American Heritage Site, which was really cool. If anyone is interested in helping with weeding that, let me know. Andrea from the NAC is looking for people. Also met with Legislator Smith about a project that would increase awareness for student concerns. So I'm excited about that and seeing how we're going to initiate that and get that going. We also planned bonding. Thank you to everyone who came to bonding. It was really fun. We're hoping to have another one before the end of the summer, so keep an eye out for that. We would love to have more people attend if possible. Obviously we did some e-board interviews, you know, that's been a weekly thing for some weeks now. Planned and executed the task forces. Thank you to everyone who came. I'm hoping that as task forces go on, I'll get more legislators that will come to them. They're very fun. Highly encourage you to attend. We also finalized numbers for new menstrual product dispensers, figuring out where we need them around campus and, you know, planning all of that so that hopefully the university can pick up the cost on that when they are doing their budget for next year. Not the cost of the dispensers, but the cost of the products. So first we have to put in the dispensers so that they will more likely say yes. Also merch inventory, did some of that. Senate committees. So when they start, probably closer to the end of the summer, early fall, I just want to let everybody know that if the meeting times conflict with your class schedules or something that you have going on, please let me know. We can take you out of the Senate committee and maybe find something that works with your schedule. I just don't want legislators not showing up to the meetings because they are counting on you to be there. And it kind of makes all of us look bad as well. So just let us know, communicate, it's okay. We also, me and President Garcia attended a provost search listening session where we got to speak with some of the people that are working on finding the new provost, voice some of the things that we thought were important. And then I also set up a meeting with Bonnie and Rochelle. I don't remember their last names off the top of my head, or else I would say them as that's more formal, but they are the state relations directors at OU. So I will be meeting with them to talk about potentially working with legislators in the House to draft a state legislature bill to mandate horse markings in the state of Michigan and continuing some of the work that we've already done with that, because I think that would be cool. The last thing I have on there is by far what I'm most excited about. It is at the very beginning, so this may not even pan out, but we will see. But I attended a conference at MSU on Monday that was about the Michigan Good Food Charter. And essentially I worked with a group to plan out a piece of legislation that would essentially give reimbursement to different like wholesale buyers of produce within the state of Michigan if they were buying locally grown produce. So this is an initiative that they've already done in Kentucky and Colorado, and they would be planning a pilot program for that. So we're currently in negotiations with our dining hall vendors. So I thought it would be a great time to interject that we would like to see local produce in our dining halls because, you know, they're obviously more nutrient dense. We want better quality food. So I think this would be a great way to do that. If OU was to participate in the pilot, we would get financial reimbursement for buying the produce. So I intend to talk to Chris Reed and VP McIntosh about this. So I will keep you guys updated, but I'm very excited about it. And that's all I have. Chair Liati?
We'll be happy. So this week, past 2 weeks, I worked on a bunch of stuff, only a portion of this, and this is awful because I honestly have a terrible memory, especially when I sit down to fill this out. But I created an SAFB event, which will include all the events that we did. I finished organizing SAFB's physical archive, but they were all over the place. I met with Jan, began budgeting SAFB event tickets, which we hopefully have ready by fall. Board meeting, and helped OUSD table during orientation, and also fixed the 2 trays that were not working in the printer, which I was super stoked about. And that is about it.
Right. Moving on. We will go to OUSC advisors. Advisor Miller, do you have anything at this time?
I have no report at this time.
Alrighty, moving on, we'll go to updates related to eBoard projects and initiatives. Are there any at this time? President Garcia.
Sorry, I did want to say as a reminder to everyone, if you have more than one job and at open, make sure that you're not working more than 40 hours in 1 week. Combining all of your jobs into one, make sure you're not going over 3 hours because that is over full time and we cannot, Oakland University cannot pay you overtime. Okay, thank you. Advisor Miller, please correct me if I said any of that wrong.
I thought that we could do full-time in the summer.
You can, but you can't.
You can do up to 40 hours during the summer, but you cannot exceed 40 hours because you cannot get paid overtime. All right. Are there any questions related to executive reports at this time? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the gallery. Are there any at this time? Seeing none. Are there any announcements at this time? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and adjourn today's meeting at 7:09 p.m. All right, have a good night, everyone.